Hello, everyone. Welcome into the Big Three NBA podcast. Sherrod Blakely, Gary Washburn. I'm Kwani Lunis. Thank you for joining us on Christmas week. Hanukkah just ended. Christmas is almost here. Kwanzaa, Sherrod, we just found out, starts the 26th. Very cheerful holiday season. How are you two feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Dang, I forgot my Christmas hat. Dang,
It's
Gary,
okay. You don't need it.
Gary, did you jack my Christmas hat?
Yeah, I burned it. It was fire, so I set it on fire.
That's
I
real.
hate him. I hate Scrooge.
Well done. Well done.
It was fire. So.
You know what, Gary?
Right to the flame. Are you gonna be your Garden Report hat on?
I got some Scrooge socks
Grinch, yeah.
for Grinch, some Grinch
Yeah,
socks for Gary.
Gary.
There you go.
You got your gift early. That's so sweet. But by the way, before we get started talking about the Celtics, just a reminder that you are listening, as we said, to the Big Three NBA podcast, which is part of the CLNS Media family. And it's the time of year where we like to give thanks for many things. For us, we're certainly thankful to have partners like PrizePicks. They're America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. You can download their app today and get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. All right, let's get right into it. The biggest conversation of the week when it comes to Celtics. The Celtics rallying to defeat the Pacers 103-95. So get this. Boston has won 3 straight. Right now they're 18-11 on the season. Jaylen Brown, 31 points, 14 in the fourth quarter. Derek White with 19 in that game. Hugo Gonzalez, 6 points, 11 rebounds. But the biggest story of this game, third quarter benching. Mazzulla took out all the starters. They were down 69-49 in the third quarter. So let's hear what Joe Mazzulla had to say to Gary about that decision.
Your boy.
Joe, it's one thing when you got guys like, Josh or Jordan to take them out of the starting lineup or pull them, but when it's Jaylen, Peyton, and Derek, and they're coming out 2 minutes into the third quarter, are there anything you need to say, or they're like, yeah, we know we're not playing well, and we know how this goes?
I mean, to me, it's. I look at it as the other way of like they have an understanding that we can impact games in different ways, and so I think it's just more about like, this is what the game needs at this particular time. Let's have an understanding that these guys are going to help us keep it. Let's get it back a little bit, keep it close, and then it's their responsibility when they come back to win. So I thought it went like today is an example of like a team. It's like you're not always going to be at your best. Guys come in, they keep it close, they chip away at it. You come back, you guys do your job, and everybody's responsible for winning. So I think it's more of just kind of the guys. It's a credit to them of having an understanding that anybody can impact winning at any time.
Okay, so is it psychological because Jaylen, Peyton, and Derek are watching guys do what they should do? So when they get in, they're saying, "Okay, let's."
No, I think it's just empowerment. I think it's just empowerment. Like these guys can help us win. These guys can help us win, and we need them, and they need us. And you take care of the guy next to you. I think so. I think it's just a level of empowerment amongst the guys on the team.
The explanation makes a lot of sense. But what did you two not only make of the decision, but then hearing the explanation? How do you process all of that together?
Gary, get us going, Gary, because I'm curious what you thought, because you were literally there in the moment, in that moment, talking to Joe about that. What was your take on just what Joe had to say to your question?
I thought it was a good decision because the starters were playing lousy. They played lousy in the early going against Toronto, and he did a hockey shift, and that sparked a 16-0 run at the end of that quarter on Saturday. And so when the starters aren't giving you a lift, and it was 3 consecutive offensive rebounds on 3 consecutive possessions, and then a putback by Benedict Mathurin, and it was a 20-point lead, and you're like, something's got to change. So Joe pulled him, and I totally agree with the decision. But I do think, and Joe's not going to say, but it was a motivational ploy for those guys. It's hard. It's difficult when you're the starter. One, you're used to being in the game with 8 minutes left in the third quarter. You're a starter. Maybe you might get pulled 6-7 minutes left, 5 minutes left. You might play half the quarter, but you're not getting pulled with, like, I think, was it 9:22 left in the third quarter. And then to see the guys play with more energy and enthusiasm and hustle than you did, that's got to be motivating to win. By the time you get it back into the game, you're salivating. You can't wait to get in there and make an impact. And I think that's exactly what happened. Those guys, especially Derek White, especially Jaylen Brown, Peyton was okay, but White and Brown were both motivated, you could tell, by the demotion, because it was a demotion. Y'all, you should be embarrassed. Sold out crowd. Last game before the Christmas holiday. Everybody's hype. A 6-22 team in town, so you should smash them. And you're literally down by 20 points to a team. Let's face it, that's tanking. Indiana is tanking. They should be tanking. They want to get one of them special players in college. You add them to Halliburton, who's going to be healthy next year, or we top in Aaron Nesmith. They get fully healthy. They feel like they can make a championship run. So they're just giving it up this year, which is fine. That's what they should do. And last night, them dudes got all their numbers. Siakam, Nembhard, they put up their numbers. They lost the game. It's exactly like, hey, that's what we, because they're trying to get the number 1 overall pick. They're trying to figure out who the heck they want to have the choice of those guys. So to me, you're playing a tanking team. There's no way you should be down 20. And you're not giving enough maximum effort. You're coming off 2 wins in a row. Jalen didn't even play in Toronto, so he should have the more energy. Now you have 3 days off for the next game. No practice. They're not practicing Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So you got no reason not to give 100%. And so to see them not give 100%, Joe made a change. I thought it was a very effective move, and it got them the win.
Shout out to Joe for giving the bench the gift that they've been asking for all season. That's real minutes.
Yeah.
Hugo played his career high minutes. You look at Garza played a major role. Simons made big shots. Hauser. You just go down the line, and those guys. This is why you're in the NBA. This is why, if you're the Boston Celtics, you add a lot of these guys on low wage contracts because you want to give them and see them make the most of opportunities. And this was it was a perfect storm. Starters aren't playing well. Bench had a very good outing recently. Let's see what happens if we shake it up. And they needed it. They absolutely needed it. You look at the way the starters were playing there. If we're being honest and calling it what it is, it was trash. They were playing like trash, and they're better than that. And they know they're better than that. But they certainly weren't playing like it. They should have been embarrassed by the way they were playing. And rather than have this franchise, this team suffer, just an absolutely humiliating loss at home, Joe did the smart thing and he started coaching. He made a coaching decision, a major one that is unconventional. And that's the one thing that we said at the beginning of the season. For this team to be successful, they're going to have to do things a little bit differently than they've done in the past. Usually when teams are looking for that surge of energy, they'll look at 1 or 2 guys. They usually don't make the hockey shift. We bring in pretty much a different 5, and that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they saw work before, and that's exactly what Joe went to again. And kudos to Joe for having the cojones to do that. I wish more teams did that because we've seen plenty of games where the starting 5 look like absolute garbage, and they should all be taken off the court and give those guys on the bench a shot and see what happens. It's not like at that point they could play much worse, and that to me was the beauty of what happened. Not only did they have just the freedom to just go out there and play freely, but they had the confidence to get things done because they had already been there, done that before. Luka Garza, it's not the first game he's come up big. Hugo, not his first big game. You start going down the line, these guys have had moments of success throughout the course of this season, and collectively, when they have been given an opportunity in a we don't got nothing to lose scenario, they chip away at the deficit that they're facing to make it a competitive game. So kudos to Joe for giving those guys an opportunity, and kudos to that second unit for being talented enough and smart enough to recognize the opportunity, make the most of it, and hopefully that'll get them some more shots down the road.
Unconventional is the perfect word for this one. You two have seen more basketball than I have in my life. But have you ever seen a coach do something like that specific in recent memory?
Recent memory, no. But I know when I was in Detroit, Larry Brown did that from time to time. Okay. And the reason is, as Gary alluded to earlier, it's not so much to embarrass the starting 5, it's to wake them the hell up. Right. That guess what? Don't assume that just because you in that first 5, you're the only 5 I got. And so to me,
which is good because a lot of teams don't have more than 5, like realistically speaking, that can go on the floor.
Exactly. And so to me, you absolutely from time to time, I think you need to do that as a coach. I think you need to remind your first unit that you're the first unit I play, not necessarily the only unit I can play. And when you're watching, if you're Jaylen Brown and Derek White and you're watching that 20-point lead go down to 15, then it go down to 12, then it go down to 8, and you're thinking like, damn, we couldn't do that?
Yeah.
once you realize that your backups are making it a game, you gotta bring it home. And again, I thought it was a perfect storm of a game. It was a perfect opponent to do that against. As Gary pointed out, they pretty much got all their numbers in the first half. I mean, you look at this was the worst 3-point shooting team in the NBA, and they damn near met all the numbers they needed to the first half. I think in the second half, they shot the way that they normally shoot from 3-point range, which is in part why the Celtics were able to get back in it. But no, I think this was one of Joe Mazzulla's better coach games because he made a very decisive, unconventional decision. And it wasn't so much that it worked, but the fact that he actually made the decision and said, I'm going to come hell or high water. I'm going to live with this decision I'm making. Not enough coaches have the cojones to make those type of calls. So good. So props to Gary's boy, Joe Mazzulla in this one.
That being said, though, what long-term effect do you think that could have on coaching? Not only for this team, but maybe other teams in the league.
I think they're still going to they have their own way of doing things, their own blueprint. They're not going to deviate from that.
Yeah. You talked about habits, how players are creatures of habits, and generally speaking, they wouldn't do something like that.
Right, and coaches are the same way. But I think, if anything, speaking about the Celtics specifically, I think this was another wake-up call for those starters, more so than the second unit, because the second unit guys, look, they know anytime they get a chance to play, they got to make the most of it because they don't know how long they're going to be out there. Starters know they have a little bit more leeway, but Joe is making it very clear that you may have a little bit more leeway, but you're not going to be able to go out there and play like trash and stay out there playing like trash. I'm going to take you out. And he's done that on more than one occasion. I think he'll continue to do that throughout the course of the season because he knows that first unit is his best unit, but they're not the only unit. And he knows he's got guys who are going to, they may not be as talented as his first group, but they're going to work their asses off. And that's half the battle of being successful in the NBA is your work ethic.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't think I have any effect on around the league. It might have an effect on the Celtics, and I think it's maybe good for the stars to have accountability that they need to play well, and two, maybe look over their shoulder and see that the guys want their minutes and want their spot. And obviously, you're not going to pull Jaylen Brown from the starting lineup or Derek White or Peyton Pritchard. But if you're playing well in the Celtic system, you're going to get minutes. And I think we've seen that. Joe is going to play you. The Luka Garza development is another situation like Jordan Walsh, who, as we've talked about, Sherrod wanted him, gave him his passport, stamped it, and had him headed for the Maldives.
The Adriatic League, Gary, get it right. I had him headed for the Adriatic.
Going all over. You said China.
Yeah,
you said
Saudi Arabia.
He said wherever they'll take him.
Liechtenstein. Yeah, Luxembourg. He had him. Yeah. He had
chocolates in Belgium while you at it.
Yeah, exactly. He had him everywhere.
Belgian chocolates on my parents' kitchen table randomly, but anyway.
Gary's like, can I make my damn
Anyway, so in his development into a starter has been, and now after basically sitting a month, Luka Garza is now like just taking that backup 5 spot and probably taking some of Nebius Keita's minutes because he's been more active in the paint, getting those offensive rebounds, giving them second chance points, getting to the free throw line. So I think this lets the starters know, hey, if you're not getting it done, we'll find somebody who will. And humble pie is definitely sometimes warranted for some of these guys. And I'm not saying Jaylen was playing terrible or anything like that. They just didn't play with a lot of energy. And Indiana still has a lot of guys who were on that team last year who went to the finals. Pascal Siakam was unstoppable in the first half. He was hitting everything. Ethan Thompson, and if you don't know Ethan Thompson, Sherrod should know who Ethan Thompson is because his daddy played at Syracuse. The great Stephen Thompson,
who was from California,
L.A., rival high school of mine. Stevie had ups.
Stevie was 6'5" on officially, when in reality he was more like 6'1", 6'2". He just jumped out the gym like he was 6'5".
He had like a 43-inch vert. Stevie Thompson, and he played in that team that lost in the national championship. Stevie, great guy, and he's got two sons who played, and Ethan was, I mean, he was knocking threes down. I mean, I was like, wait a minute, this dude's been in the G League and he's in the starting lineup. He was getting in Celtics.
Daddy didn't shoot like that.
No,
Daddy didn't shoot
like that. Daddy had ups. Ethan don't have the athleticism as Daddy, but Ethan still a very good player, young, player trying to stay in the league. And they were just they were just putting it on the Celtics, and it was like, wait a minute, this team is 6-22, and then suddenly, like the starters were not playing well. They were getting punched in the mouth, and I think this lets the starters know, listen, look over your shoulder. Don't feel so secure. Don't feel like you got this, when in reality, you might not have it that night. And we'll find somebody who does have it, because the Celtics are trying to win games. They're trying to eke out every win. You have a stretch here against teams with losing records, so you got to make it happen. And so to me, I think it sends a warning to the rest of the league that, not the rest of the league, the rest of the team, that, and the starters, hey, you got to get it done on the floor, because I'll find somebody who will get it done. I'm not going to let you play this out. And he didn't let them play it out last night, and that's exactly what happened. And the bench came in and gave him a lift, and the starters came in and won the game for him.
I know you misspoke when you said the rest of the league, but I think it does also put the league on notice that Mazzulla is willing to win, even if this is a year where they're not necessarily championship bound, that he's willing to do whatever moves it takes to win a game, which I think is very telling.
Yeah, if the Celtics were supposed to be tanking, somebody forgot to tell Joe Mazzulla.
Look, that part.
It was like tanking.
What's that? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, you ain't talking about me.
But along those lines, related to that game, we have a whole section dedicated to Hugo Gonzalez, so we'll talk about him after the break. But before that, who else on the reserve stood out to you two in that game?
Who else jumped out you, Gary?
Let me see here.
He's going to do his hood homework here.
Yeah. I'm going to say, I mean, obviously, we can talk about Hugo plus 21.
We'll talk about him after the break.
Yes. I'm gonna go with my man Luka Garza again.
Okay.
6 points, 9 rebounds, 5 offensive. He was a plus 13. He got to the free throw line a couple of times. He made things happen, and that's what you need to do. A block shot. I mean, this was a guy who was basically chilling like, bruh, man, for the last month out of the rotation. We were like, what happened? What did he do? Because sometimes with this Joe thing, we don't necessarily see like horrible play. It's not like, man, that guy, he ain't getting it done. They're going to have to pull him out. He's just like, Garza I thought was doing okay. And then suddenly he just never was playing again. And he was sitting next to Xavier Tillman and Chris Boucher as the, veteran big man crew who don't play. Like, they was just, playing checkers together and Uno and all that stuff.
Dominoes,
exactly. Having a little sip of something, and at the end of the bench. But now Garza's become a weapon, and that Toronto game to me just unlocked him. And now he's got 2 good games under his belt, and he's got to be back in the rotation. So I just liked his activity in the paint. I mean, Indiana's not a huge team. They lack bigs. I mean, they threw James Wiseman out there, who's kind of, it was good to see him on the floor, a former number 2 overall pick who's had a really unfortunate injury-filled career, and it didn't work in Golden State, and he tore his Achilles, so he's back. So it's good to see him in an NBA game. We'll see if he can even come close to some of the potential that he showed early in his career, but they were putting him out there, and so the Celtics had a void, that weakness. The Pacers had a weakness, and the Celtics made it happen and dominated the boards, got second chance points. So I'm going to give credit for this to his effort to Luka Garza.
You know what? Luka was good, and we'll talk about Hugo later. But the guy that I really, really liked in minutes that he was out there was Baylor Shireman. He didn't shoot a lot. He didn't put up great stats, but positive things happen when he's on the floor. He drew an offensive foul, which we never see him do. He tries all the time, but never actually gets that call. He got one of those to go down. He did some nice activity. He was +9 when he was on the floor. I like what I saw from him because Baylor came to the Celtics as this guy who could knock down shots. That was his thing. And he's showing that he can do a little bit more than that. I think his playmaking is still evolving. I think that's going to be a part of his game. If we look back when we look ahead 2, 3, 4 years from now, I think his playmaking is going to be a much more impactful part of what he does out there. But he was able to do a lot of little things out there during that run. And that, again, that's really important. You look at the technical that Andrew Nembhard picked up. Baylor has something to do with that because Hugo was the one that kind of got under Andrew's skin, and then Baylor just kind of egging him on a little bit. And next thing you know, Andrew Nembhard gets a bit of tea. Simons knocks down a free throw, and boom, they continue to just chip away at that lead. He's figuring out ways to impact the game in ways that go beyond just him knocking down shots. And if you want to have any type of longevity in the NBA, that's what you got to do. You got to find ways to contribute when your number isn't necessarily called. And I think Baylor is slowly but surely figuring out how to do that.
Understood. All right. Like we said, we're going to talk about Hugo after the break. But before we get to that, just a reminder, this is the Big 3 NBA podcast, which is part of the CLNS Media Network, which is where you'll find our podcast, past and present, as well as a lot of other great Celtics content. Sherrod?
Yes. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. It is the holiday season, the best time of year for sports. Bowl games, basketball matchups, and playoff pushes. It is all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which games to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that is PrizePicks. It's the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win cash. PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more or less on Drake May's passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns? Are you tempted to go less on Victor Wembanyama's points, rebounds, and block shots with him playing limited minutes before he returns to full-time status with the Spurs? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on PrizePicks. You can also follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup created in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. You want in? Here's what you do. Download the app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right.
All right. So, Hugo, 3rd straight game with double-digit rebounds. Played a season high 36 minutes in that game for obvious reasons. We just talked about why. But what do you two think he has to do to solidify himself as a regular in the rotation for the Celtics team?
Keep giving Joe Mazzulla the gift that keeps on giving. His energy, his effort, his rebounding, finding ways to impact winning at a high level. Hugo was one of the unsung heroes in that comeback win over Indiana. They got great play out of Garza. They got obviously another big game from Jaylen Brown. Simons hit big shots. You go down the line, but Hugo was the one guy that when you look at all the moving pieces was the one that didn't move. He stayed on the floor. They made a point of keeping him in the game because he was doing so many little things, whether it was contesting shots, forcing guys to make passes they didn't want to make, drawing offensive fouls, frustrating Indiana's, hot shot makers. He did a little bit of everything, and more importantly, grabbing rebounds. We knew from the beginning of the season, rebounding was going to be one of those choose-your-adventure type deals for the Celtics team this year. Hugo has given them something from that wing position that they really haven't seen consistently, and that is a guy that can rebound the ball. And he's doing that while making sure he's not getting beat defensively. Hugo has been, if you're talking, and he has the highest plus-minus of any rookie in the NBA this season. So when you look at what he's contributing to this team, the numbers are not going to even come close to reflecting the impact and the difference maker that he is. But the Celtics know that he is doing all that work. The problem for him is he plays a position where they're getting pretty solid contributions from a lot of other guys as well. So it's going to be difficult for him to break through. But I'm telling you, these are the kind of performances that are going to keep him on the mind of Joe Mazzulla when it comes to who am I going to play and who am I not going to play.
Also, Gary, before you go, I have to fact check myself. He actually had 8 in that game versus the Heat, so felt like 10, but Just
Yeah,
wasn't
no, I understand.
2 in a row.
I mean, I think Hugo just continues to need to be himself and play with that hair on fire type of energy. Defend, rebound, do all the little things, because quite honestly, like, he has been a huge surprise. I just don't think anyone knew when they drafted him. First of all, I don't think people knew who the hell Hugo Gonzalez was. He played a bit role for Real Madrid. Everyone was like, well, he's only 19. It's going to take him a couple of years, but he'll be okay. Oh, he's probably going to spend most of the year in Maine, developing. He's going to, take his time, and they don't really need him right now. This is a transition year, so maybe, he gets a full year in the G League, and then he'll come back next year and compete for some minutes. No, that never happened. He ain't going. The only time he's gonna go see Maine is if he need to go get some lobster or something on the coast. Okay, he is not going to Portland, Maine for any reason. This is a guy who's part of the rotation, who plays hard, has a savvy about him, does not get rattled at all. Has a wonderful way about him that I think the team really loves. He's lovable. I mean, I just see he's getting more familiar just being around him. He's getting more familiar in the American culture with the team element, language-wise. He's speaking better. I mean, he's always been solid in English, but you could just some of the terms he's using. He's obviously been around a bunch of guys who say certain words.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that he just needs to continue to be himself, play hard, play with that passion. And I just think that sets an example for his teammates. Here's a rookie who, had no idea where he was going to be a year ago, and now he is contributing. And I just thought it was an awesome moment last night where he's talking to us in the locker room. Jason Tatum walks out and says, hey, Hugo, what did I tell you? And then Hugo says, I can't say that. And then Jason says, well, basically, I'll say it. You a bad mofo. He didn't say mofo.
Yeah.
Feeding off
so
of each other.
Even
we got the video. We have the audio.
You still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yo, what I tell you yesterday?
I can't say it right now, bro.
Bad motherfucker.
yeah, that's what he said. Yeah,
that's the beauty of a podcast. We have a little less restrictions.
Yes. Thanks to, I think Bobby or Noah recorded that. So thanks to them for that video. But that shows there's Tatum, who's just, rehabbing and being around the team. There's one of your leaders, and he is already like, man, this is my guy. So what does that say about the future? It's just bright. You got, and they're all taking him. He's close buddies with Baylor Shireman. All those guys are taking him under his wing. So you're talking about just a really valued draft pick. And that's the thing, that you have to score sometimes with some of these guys. And I think, as I mentioned the last podcast, and we know, and Sherrod knows, like, they had kind of this guy in Aaron Nesmith, but they didn't give him enough time. And then obviously they got Brogdon in the deal. So it wasn't like they just wanted to get rid of him, but they felt he was expendable. And this time they're like, you know what? We see a lot of Nesmith in this guy, and just wait till Hugo starts learning how to shoot better. He's not a bad shooter, but just like he'll get some more shots in, he'll start making those corner threes. And then, man, you're talking about a real 3-and-D guy that can guard multiple positions. So the future is bright for Hugo Gonzalez. So he just needs to continue to be himself.
The one thing he's doing, though, Gary, I'll say just to jump in, is there's certain things that Hugo cannot control, and one of them things is timing. His timing is perfect to play the way that he does and get an opportunity to keep playing. Aaron Nesmith walked into a squad that was loaded. There really wasn't a clear path for him to play. When you look, there's no Tatum. There's no clear number 2 behind Jalen. They don't have a clear shooting guard per se, or small forward. So there's an opportunity for him to prove his worth. And frankly, because of that, he is getting opportunities that I don't think Aaron Nesmith, for example, would have gotten, or at least had enough rope to make mistakes. Because Hugo, he's not been perfect. I mean, he's made some mistakes. He's made more than his share of mistakes. But he's been able to make up for that with his energy, his effort, and the fact that you never felt when he's playing, he doesn't come across as a guy who's looking over his shoulder thinking, damn, they're going to take me out any minute now. Whereas Neesmith, he kind of felt that way. And he had reason to feel that way. When you got multiple all-stars playing a position that you basically giving them a chance to catch their breath, you don't know whether they're going to need 2 minutes to catch their breath or they're going to need 5 minutes. But you know that when you're out there, you got to do something. And some of that nervous energy I thought really hurt Neesmith when he played, whereas Hugo is just playing. He's just playing his game. He's not trying to too hard. He's not being too lax, which I thought was one of the issues with my guy Romeo. I thought he was a little bit too cool for school. That's not the case with Hugo. Hugo is playing his game and he's getting opportunities. And as much as his talent is keeping him on the floor, the timing of that talent getting an opportunity to showcase itself is also a factor in his success.
Absolutely. His future's so bright. We need sunglasses. All right. Before we go, Gary's the one who said it first. He said Eagles' future was bright.
Hair's on fire. Hair's on fire.
I didn't say need sunglasses. I didn't say.
Well, you said his future was bright, so I added.
Yes. Thank you.
My liberties. Okay, we're gonna do pick and roll for Christmas, a Christmas edition of it. And here's the prompt for all. For Christmas, I would give blank a blank because blank. And I know this sounds very confusing, so I will volunteer to start this off. And obviously, regards to the Celtics, I just thought about this. I will give Jaylen Brown Louis Vuitton luggage because he's in his bag this season. And
Kwani. I like that. If I had the fire emoji, I would give you the fire emoji for that.
Sherrod, you would like that.
Right. So just for the context, Jaylen Brown, 29.4 points per game at this point in the season. He's 5th overall in scoring in the league, 6.4 rebounds, 4.9 assists. But we know the storyline, him being the number one guy on this team this season, having to step up big time and showing that he's able to do it, which is also a reminder because All-Star season, voting season has just begun. But Jaylen this year, I think, continues to prove that he is at an All-Star caliber level. And just watching his development game by game this season, it's been good to watch. So that's fine.
That's a good one, Kwani. I was going to go with Jaylen, but I was going to give him something different. I was going to, since he's got a new follically challenged deal already, he just nailed that down. I'm not going to give him that. He took care of that.
Drops from Beyonce.
Exactly. So shout out to Jaylen for getting that deal. I respect that.
That man could turn anything into a bag. I do respect that too.
Exactly. Like, so I have mad respect for him being like, you know what? I'm getting a bag.
He need to put us on game.
Grass. Exactly. But no, I would give.
Sorry for taking yours.
It's okay. That's all good. I would give Derek White. I would give him a much sturdier backpack than the ones that he rocked because he's been carrying the weight of trying to be the number 3 guy. Like he could use a little bit of extra on the backpack.
Gary's eye rolls all over the place right now.
I can feel him. If eye rolls could burn, you and I would pile of ass right now, Kwani. You know that, right?
We'd be done.
No, but Derek, I think he's been carrying the weight of having to be that number 2 guy, and I thought it did weigh him down a little bit now. I would give him just an extra backpack so he can put some of that pressure in the backpack and not feel as though he's got to carry all that weight on his bare back all the time. That's all.
Yeah. I'm not.
And you can't have luggage, Gary. No luggage for this one.
No more luggage.
No. This is what I'm going to do for the folks at TD Garden. Okay.
Oh.
I want to get them a t-shirt toss thrower machine that actually fits up to the 3rd level, the 300 level.
That's fire! That's fire! I love that.
For 15 years, I've been seeing the people that pay you pay the most money for the seats. I guess you should get a t-shirt. But those 300 folks work hard for their tickets. They pay money too. They buy the same money for the popcorn and the pizza and the hot dogs and the drinks and all that.
Yes, Gary,
that the TD Garden has to offer, and they can't get there's no kids up there. And there are kids up there that are not from the greatest neighborhoods. That it's their first Celtic game.
And their parents are scraping the money just to go.
Yes, just to get there, and they can't get a free T-shirt. but you give it to the kid who goes every night as a season ticket holder and he gets one and oh, this is my 10th one. Oh, whoop-de-doo. Like, let's have a machine that tosses the damn, catapults the damn t-shirts, rockets the t-shirts to the 300 level so those folks can have t-shirts too. If you're going to give away freebies, don't only pick certain people. Don't be an elitist. Don't pick people that, oh, well, no one's going to be able to throw. No one, Nolan Ryan or I'm trying to think. Tom Brady would.
Right, Tom Brady can't throw that far.
Tom Brady can't make the 300 level.
John McNabb.
Drake May can't do it.
You got cheerleaders and the dance crew throwing T-shirts to the people who already have T-shirts every freaking game. And I go around the league and there's these bombastic size machines and they go and they shoot them all up to the high level.
Okay, yeah,
Give them something too. So for Christmas, can TD Garden invest in a machine that throws, catapults, rockets the T-shirts to the 300 level to give those people who just as much Celtic fans, because you talk to most people that we grew up with or that we know out here, and they were like, that's where I sat when I used to go watch the Celtics. My dad or my mom or sometimes single parents take their kids or scrape up or get a hookup for maybe their job or something or some kind of promotion, and they're paying $200, $300, $400 for the entire, when they got to bring, the brother and the sister. I know Sherrod knows about that. Your sibling, your badass siblings, they got to go too, unfortunately, and your mama got to watch out for.
No, that's real. The first NBA game I went to with my as a fan, but with my family, my dad and my brothers, I brought tickets at Barclays, maybe 7 years into my career, because my parents had 3 kids and they're immigrants. They didn't have money to be spending.
But you know what, hey, Gary, you know what though? There's a very simple solution. Here's the thought. How about having them go up into the concourse and shoot from the concourse?
I was thinking that too.
They do. They have sometimes they have the dance team and the cheerleaders. I don't call them cheerleaders anymore, but go and throw them to particular.
No, you need to have a gun up in the.
Have a gun and just to me, that's what makes a great fan experience. When the person from the highest seat to the lowest seat can get the same damn thing, not just the kids who have the season tickets or their parents and I get it. They deserve, they already get, T-shirt.
I'm crying. I'm in our chat talking about the sound
T-shirt Uzi, exactly.
T-shirt Uzi.
Because I get tired of watching the same kids get the same T-shirts or whatever. They already have access to the players. They can get autographs and all that. The 300 folks can't do that, okay? But can they get the benefit of a T-shirt? Can they get something to take home? That means a lot to people.
It does.
The freebies, I remember going to Laker games when I was a kid and whatever. It was a little Laker towel, a little poster or photo of the team. And you're, oh my God, you put it on your wall. That was special. You never forgot that. And so why don't TD Garden make memories for more kids, not just the ones who sit in the 100 section in the suites, but the ones who sit in the 300, those are your real fans.
That's real.
Talk to the people, Gary.
Well done. Well done. Way to close that one out. Beautifully done.
Well done, Gary Washburn. Your boy Joe Mazzulla will be so proud of you right now.
He would.
Sherrod, shut the hell up. Sherrod, just be quiet. 5 seconds of peace.
You guys are silly. All right. Well, before we go, just a reminder for those of you listening to the show, it's the season of giving. So please give us a gift that will never get old, and it arrives on time. Even if you didn't order your gifts for Christmas, you probably should have and do that. But give us the gift of a review, maybe. Subscribe to the podcast, and for those of you that are watching on CLNS, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the CLNS Media and Celtics All Access YouTube channel, where you'll find this episode, of course, and other Celtics content on a regular basis. Also, we didn't do it this week, but leave a comment. Maybe we'll see it. Maybe we'll talk about it in our next episode. And one more thing, a reminder, make sure you turn on those notifications so that you know the instant a new video drops. For Sherrod Blakely and Gary Washburn, I'm Kwani Lunis. This is the Big 3 NBA podcast, and we hope you have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
I want to hear what they got to say about the T-shirt Uzi. I like that. I want to hear what the folks got to say. That's a great idea, Gary. I'm with you, Gary. That's my Christmas gift, Gary. I'm going to support your T-shirt Uzi campaign.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do this.
Let's go.